Hi, and welcome everyone. It's Lavender Sky Panther with you for another reading. It's Friday, April 28th, 2023. And before I get going into this, I just want to say thank you to all of you who tune in on my channel, whether it's for these readings or the sky observation stuff I do, or both. I really appreciate it. Also, I'm hearing from some of you, and again, thank you to all of you if you do leave comments and give me some feedback on some of the stuff. It's really appreciated. You are really appreciated. But I'm hearing from some that you're posting, and it's not showing up. Obviously, it's getting shadow banned. So that's clearly YouTube. If you post anything in a good spirit or, kind-spirited message, it's, nothing that I'm doing, obviously. Some people are getting unsubbed and multiple times retrying to sub. So thank you to all of you for your efforts. I hope no one is frustrated. And if you do need to leave a comment and it's not posting, you might want to try. I always pin just a general comment up at the top. Sometimes if you try to post there under a reply, that will work to an already posted comment. And otherwise, I do have an email address as a contact, again, just for kind-spirited messages or comments. Are welcome there, and it's in the description box below. So again, thanks for being here, and go ahead and you're going to choose from 3 groups today. I don't mind that you already saw a little bit of a preview there. When I do these readings, it's just very general. I tend to hop across all 3 piles and cross-reference. So even though you may select a specific group, 1, 2, or all 3 of these, however you're led to do it, I typically do cross across all 3 anyway if you want to hang on and see that. Otherwise, just stick with your group, and you might want to also jump ahead. Sometimes I throw in bonus cards at the very end. All right, let's get into it. So group number 1, you're going to have Wings of Fire. This book, it's actually a series by Tui Sutherland. Actually, I highly recommend that series. Yes, it's geared for the younger side of, the group. I would say if you have a very mature 10 or 11-year-old, but otherwise, the very first book is pretty brutal, and I think they learned from that. So the second book on is not. But I would say, in the neighborhood of maybe 12 years old and up. But it's really an excellent series also for adults. So this is the one book selected actually by others. I had somebody else select the 3 books for me today. They know who they are, and thank you very much. So anyway, this one is one of the ones in the series, and what is it called? Winter Turning. There is going to be a bit of a fire and ice theme coming up in this show in general. So then we've got this night light, this dragon, and that light you're going to see changing a bit if I catch it at different times. Okay, we also have just like this little dome I felt was appropriate. It's a compass, north, south, east, and west, kind of with a fortress, and that was a theme in this book, this ice fortress or castle. Okay, so that is group 1, and all of them are kind of guarded by this beautiful selenite wand, okay, in the foreground. Okay, then we have The Return of the King, the second book of 3 books, but really just one long book or story by J.R.R. Tolkien. And that's, The Return of the King, part of the Lord of the Rings series. And this is actually my favorite book of the 3. So you have Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. You have, oh, no, I take that back. No, I like the second one the best. But anyway, okay, so we have the Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring is the first one, then the Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and then we have this one, The Return of the King. And so anyway, they just actually re-released this in the movie theaters, or they might still play it now and then because I think it's one of the, milestone anniversaries for the movie coming out. All right, so anyway, they have some extended footage in there if anybody can catch that. I did, and actually I was very glad I saw it. All right, so now we have, and as a reminder, the books are not graphic violent at all, very little in fact. The movies are just completely different and depart, showing a lot of the battle and all of that. So just know that I really appreciated reading the books, actually even more than seeing the movies. Okay, anyway, we have our little cluster of tokens. I forgot to mention, these are just little tokens I pair with everything for the group selection. So I'll obviously have a little crown, a mood ring to play on the Lord of the Rings, and this little selenite tower, which is, harkening back to actually the second book, The Two Towers. And it's also like Minas Tirith for anybody who knows the book and the storyline. Okay, the White Tower. All right, then we have group 3 is Spirit Animals Against the Tide. It's book 5, all right? It's another series. This one happens to be by Tui Sutherland as well. But in this series, each book is done by a different author. There's maybe only 1 or 2 repeats in the whole series. And I highly recommend that one too. Again, that's probably more, for 10 and up. Okay. Very interesting book there as well. All right, and we've got like a little either black leopard, jaguar, something, panther sitting there on a piece of selenite, green selenite. All right, and if anyone's interested, the candle burning is called Christmas tree. I was just feeling that vibe for whatever reason. All right, so that's a lot to work with. So go ahead and pick your group: the dragon, the return of the king, and the spirit animals. Here we go. All right, group one. I've already turned all the cards over, giving you a little preview there just to expedite things, because as always, I never know how much time I'm going to have to give you here when I do these readings. All right, so we'll start off. You've got the divine feminine, and right off the bat, we're working with a lot of purple energy, clearly, so that might mean something to you. And here we got the indigos, purples, vibing in there with the crown chakra, maybe the throat chakra moving up to the crown chakra. We've got this gorgeous dragon actually sitting on a trilithon, so that's like a megalithic structure with 2 uprights and a lintel across the top. It's number 32, if that means anything for anybody tracking numbers, which is a 5. And I'm going to say it every time, so just forgive me. It's going to show up in every show. If you're watching the numbers, the positive aspects of all the numbers, yes, including the 6 sixes and all of that, are under a great Australian blog site called Joanne Sacred Scribes Angel Numbers. Okay, so here we got Divine Feminine, and I'm kind of just doing an overview of all of them, and then we'll try to put it all together. And then we've got this interesting dragon. This is Herni or Herna, and that's a 33 or a 6. All right, then we're going to move on to a slightly different deck, the Magical Nordic deck. And you have Knight of Cups, beautiful rainbow and star imagery. And this is called a Dreamer. Okay, then we're going to have 3, the Empress, with Nurture. Then you have King of Swords. And actually, we have the King theme. Actually, it's in group 2. You may want to hop over there as well. And then this one says Structure. All right, and then we're going to get to your bonus card. I'm going to flip now so I don't forget. And this one is Play. Got some nice lotus leaves, flowers floating there. Beloved one, it's time to set aside work for a while. Don't worry, we will oversee your responsibilities to their completion. Playfulness, gaiety, and laughter will lift your energy so that you'll return to work with a renewed perspective and heightened energy. Okay? All right, so I'm going to start off jumping over to Herni or Herna and read that from the book. Just because, as I said in the last reading, I'm not too familiar with this particular brand of dragon interpretations. This is from Dragon Path by Caroline Mitchell. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. And again, apologies for my glare situation on the lighting. This one says, it is time to reevaluate, to slow down your fast-paced life. Let's see. I just want to see how much I want to read here. Hang on, give me a moment. All right, I'm just going to read a little bit, not this whole thing this time. But this particular dragon says that he reminds us that everything is cyclical and draws our attention to how out of sync we are now with the Earth's natural rhythm. Even our internal body clocks are out of kilter. We couldn't imagine life without our smartphones, being connected to the internet, social media, and 24/7 TV. Actually, a side note for me, yes, I can. I can imagine it without that. But all of these things act as distractions which stop us from delving into ourselves, finding our own internal patterns, reconnecting with ourselves, and in turn with the natural rhythm of our planet. Herni says, you celebrate May Day, Halloween, Christmas, and other festivals, yet you forget the real essence of what they truly signify. They are a celebration of the turning of the seasons, of the earth's bounty, and you are out of step with these. Think there's a little more, hang on. Oh, yes, you are out of step with these things. It is time to reevaluate, to slow down your fast-paced life, for you are constantly spinning on your axis rather than interweaving with the earth's beautiful tapestry. Make time to look out at the trees, watch the waves, listen to the bees. Your body and mind require time to replenish and, quote-unquote, reboot, to use a popular human word. He also emphasizes that nothing lasts forever, things such as human love and life, he says, wax and wane like the moon, They are forever changing. They follow the natural cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. So true. Um, oh, just a little extra bonus card because I used it as a bookmark is grace. Now, I know some of these images look a little harsh, but the longer you look, you can see the softness and wisdom in some of these dragons' faces. Again, with the purple, right? So we've got 16 or number 7. Okay, that was just an extra bonus. All right, so let's move through this. We've got our 2 dragons, divine feminine, and we got another message on the right is to get more in touch with nature and be in sync with it. Okay, then we've got the dreamer, nurture, and structure. So yeah, the nurture card, moves along with the earth card and the divine feminine. And obviously this one, a lot of the times with the empress, it's, in traditional tarot cards, which I'm not that great on, that's why I just interpret these however I wish. It's all about the birthing of a new project, of an actual new life. We've got representation up there of the hare or the rabbit for fertility and abundance and prosperity. And the beautiful, garden here, it's almost like she's in the Garden of Eden where things were idyllic and perfect, before duality began on the planet, kind of a returning to the Mother Earth and how we are supposed to be, living a beautiful vision of oneness and unified and in harmony with nature and all of life. We have the aurora borealis on the horizon. A lot of you might have noticed, especially if you're tracking some of the earth and sky watching stuff, which I also do, that those were prominent just recently this past week, where they were seen in over 30 states in the United States anyway, where they aren't typically shown in some of those states. So anyway, we're coming into something big with the shifting of the earth, certain things showing up in the skies, which I have in some of my channels shown, and it is a part of a cycle, something cyclical, back to what this other dragon was talking about, cycles. And there's a shift going on in the earth. I mean, I think a lot of us can feel it now, more and more starting to feel it if you allow yourself not to be distracted, also, as this dragon was talking about, by media and TV, things that don't have any bearing on what's really going on, what's important in the world with connecting with nature in that sense. Anyway, it's all good though. I don't see any of the things shifting on the planet, even some of the natural things and ways that the earth is expanding and moving with an uptick in earthquakes and volcanoes and such. That's all a natural part of the process. Anyway, and if you know that you are protected on some level, the God spark goes on and on. There is a cycle to things, and it's all good, and it's all very natural in how it moves through the planet. Then there's no worries. Okay. Dreamer, I'm going to, hang on. Okay, so we also have this beautiful Dreamer card with the rainbow, and now the sky shifts into kind of a little more icy crystal, but in a beautiful way, kind of sky with the stars. And but this person is focused inward and just really connecting in, even with the ice or the water. I guess I'm not sure, he's got a cup. It could look like he's a little bit in sorrow, but no, he's lost in a dream. He's maybe grounding onto the physical 3D plane by holding a chalice. Waters, always represent emotions typically. So this one is somewhere drifting at sea and in the starry sky. But that arched rainbow is anchoring him, and that polar bear anchoring him down into the 3D as well. And that's the best way to do it. Have your feet rooted in the ground and reaching to the stars, so to speak, if even in your, consciousness in your meditative state. Knight of Cups is, I think, often featured as a young, obviously, knight riding on a white horse holding a cup up high. In this case, this knight is bringing even more abundance. Fish represent absolutely abundance and good health and nurturing, in a way, nurturing of the soil. And in this case, by connecting in this way, he doesn't need a horse or even that white polar bear. All the strength and within him takes him off into the infinite, the infiniteness of the world and beyond. And that allows him to tap into an abundance on a whole nother level. So this night comes with, looks a little more internalized, but is demonstrating the power of, reaching just beautiful prosperity in a very different way. He's wearing white, so he kind of is that white horse. He's not riding it, he's not riding the polar bear. He's one with nature, connected with it and harmonizing with it and bringing in all of the world of bounty as a result. All right. Okay, then we've got the king, And in this case, this king also very reflective, contemplative, with some type of white dove, eagle, moth type bird flying over his right shoulder. So we've got a sense of purity there, even though he's got the sword. The sword isn't to slay or to harm. He's actually holding it very lightly, very gingerly. To me, that's more of a divining rod, kind of connecting up with the heavens and bringing that current down, into the earth energy. And this one doesn't need anything really. It just seems poised in who he is, what he is, and where he's at. It seems to be a good leader, a wise leader, a good person by example out in the world. That's the energy I'm getting off of him anyway. And structure is just a reminder. It's a good counterbalance, right? Counterpoint to the dreamer. So even though you're, lost in the dreaming and the kind of in the space and in the ethers, good to have that, divining rod or that grounding rod, to bring you back down and keep you on the planet in an organized way and allow you to maybe bring the best of both worlds onto this world. Okay. Then we also play, so actually that's also a little counterbalance to the structure. We don't want to be overly structured, don't want to overly play, right? Want to find that nice little sweet area right in between. It's nice. It reminds me of these little floating lotus and flowers, reminds me of these floating stars in the background as well. And it also reminds that we never just instantly get to the leadership role. Usually we start off at various phases, right? The fool is, embarking on the journey in the tarot card. The child, you enter the kingdom, they say, right? With childlike wonder. Why is that the case? Think about that one. You, of course, want to be in a childlike state that everything is possible. And then you truly enter the kingdom of everlasting abundance, right? If we're limiting ourselves as the, somewhere in the middle of here, somebody who's kind of maybe jaded by some of the hardships of life, can't enter that kingdom as easily. If not, you might have to fight your way in rather than be the child at play and the doors will fling open. Okay, that's what I'm getting there. So that's about it. And again, just a reminder, bonus card of grace. So move through life in a graceful state, giving thanks and being grateful for the right now. And keep dreaming, keep anchored in 3D, appreciate the earth and nature. All right, so that's what I get for now. We're going to do one other little bonus where I intuitively pick a page here. My eyes are closed. I thumb through with my left hand, and usually I point with my right. This time I'm holding the camera, so I'm just going to have to point also with my left. But here we go, and sometimes there's a word or phrase that is also something meaningful. Oh my gosh, is that what they look like? She cried. Why, it's pointy all over. Look at its tail, yelped another. It really is all spiky. And can you feel how cold it is? Whoa, that's so weird, said a fourth, reaching for Winter's wing. Winter twitched back and growled at her. All right, so what I'm going to say here is Winter is the name of a dragon in this book. And to me, that's just an example of how we get caught up in appearances and, the 3D with our 3D vision and, are quick to criticize even ourselves, self-judge. And here they're kind of pointing at this dragon that looks different from themselves and has different characteristics and traits. And instead of, being really, excited about it, they're just kind of not, I guess it's hard to say just from this little excerpt, are they, being kind about it, or in this case, it kind of looks like they're looking at a freak show behind a cage, So the point here is don't judge the book by its cover, celebrate the differences and the characteristics that we all have and possess. Some people might be extremely business-minded and excel at that. Others are more creatives and maybe, aren't going to be as great in the business side and vice versa. The others maybe can't get in touch with the creativity and different types of passions. Some may excel at both. We all have our different qualities that really do set us apart, but also when we combine them all together, really lift us up and celebrate us all. And of course, just from the shallow point of view, just, judging people by how they look, the more you look at any person, it's all mirrors and aspects of ourselves anyway. But the longer you really look into the face and the aura and sense and feel the being of another, the more and more you can move through all of the layers of that person and feel the God spark if they're not presenting a very nice face, so to say, say they're more negative leaning. you can still keep moving with your own, you can emote it, with your own energies if you're in a good space. You can move through and you can find that God spark within every single one of us if you give it, an open mind and not a closed mind that's, criticizing and just judging by appearances. I think that's all self-explanatory to everybody. Usually there's one word more than another that jumps out at me at this one. But in this case, I think it's just the word winter, because that is the title, Winter Turning, of this book as well. All right, well, maybe that had something in there for you, maybe not, but whatever the case, I hope something in there was good for you and that you have a beautiful day. Thanks, and now we're going to move on to number 2. All right, group 2, Return of the King. We've got our tokens here. We've got the crown, the little white tower to be Ministrith, and a little ring. It's a mood ring, of course, harkening back to Lord of the Rings. And let's see what you have. So we have 9 of fire. Don't give up. Protect that which you've created. Have courage and believe in yourself. You also have renewal. It's a beautiful card. We got some of that purple energy tapping into the crown chakra. We have a couple with a child and review and evaluate, a favorable assessment of the facts. Time to move in a new direction. Okay, we're going to look at all the cards first and we'll see if they tie in together. The other one was don't give up. Okay, protect, have courage, believe in yourself. And then we got moving in a new direction. Then we have the Runic Tarot. These pretty interesting cards just to kind of capture the mood of the Return of the King. And in this case, you have a number 7, and I say it all the time as much as I can. For some of the numerology positive aspects of the numbers, go see Australian blog site, Angel Numbers Sacred Scribes by Joanne Walmsley. Okay, so here we've got like this wizard, and look at this, all this power, this electrical charge happening all over the place. These, anchored in this rock. We've got all these other wands and things. I don't think those are swords. I think they're wands. All right, we've got a lot going on in the scene. But as we know, like right away, all these wands or swords down here, spikes or staffs, can't touch the power of what's going on with this one who's tapped up into all of the infinite above, right? All right, let's see what's going on, though. Although that reminds me of one of the scenes, if you watch any of the movies, with the Lord of the Rings, the one good evil turned bad is at the top of one of the towers having a fight with Gandalf, one of the other wizards. All right, then we've got Queen of Wands. Actually, I'm going to come up in reverse on the Queen of Wands here. A lot of fiery energy, but not in a malicious way. She just says, hey, I own it. I know my passion and fire, and I'm calm as I wield it, as I just walk about, strut my stuff, knowing I've got all of this fire within me, balanced and contained, yet I can unleash it and let it go whenever I want. It's a nice kind of power to have. And her staff or wand, she's just kind of holding as a prop. She doesn't even need it. That's what I love about that. Same thing actually in this card too. Doesn't really need it. He doesn't hold it upright to channel in that lightning. Look at it, it's coming down and hitting it, even though it's on an angle. Okay. All right, now we have this one, and this is number, what do we have? 18 or a 9. So kind of have the Ragnarok scene happening, and we have the representation of good and evil, the light versus the dark. We have on this side, this symbol just kind of brought my attention there. That one is called Elhas or Elhas, and I have to look up that meaning again if I don't get to it. That's maybe a little homework. I don't like the word homework, but that's maybe a little something you might want to dive into for the day. Actually, either one of these symbols. The other one is Otila or Otila, so you might want to look at those, okay? I think the one on the left is like a representation of elk's horns, okay? And this is the moon, which is normally in tarot, referred to as things that are hidden, hidden knowledge. And in this case, it's coming to light a little bit. And then we have here, very curiously, like a pristine rose under a dome of some sort. And we have the light force energy fighting probably to protect it, and protect, as I'm going to interpret, of what all is good and pure on this earth, worth fighting for, life. Okay, and let's look at your bonus card. I'm going to flip it now so I don't forget. And stars really jump out at me at the top there. All right, this one, life purpose. The purpose of your life is to serve in a way that brings great joy to yourself and others. Don't worry about finding your purpose. Instead, focus upon serving a purpose, and then your purpose will serve you. I'm going to start with that too. Actually, we all, I think, at some point or another, and more than once, ask, what is my life purpose? If you've already known it and come in with it, man, are you extra blessed, and more power to you. A lot of us waffle in between because we know we're a spiritual being having an earthly experience in like a 3D container. We know our true essence is limitless. And yet, so we're kind of caught betwixt wondering when we get here, we've had our memory wiped when we show up at birth. What is it that I'm doing here, right? At a certain point, we wake up to that. And I would just say when you're lost in it and trying to define it, let go of all of that. The point is when you know that you are the purpose just by being here, by emitting out loving energy and kindness and smiling at somebody or giving a hand to somebody in need, however form that takes, you're living your purpose. You're spreading good on this earth. You're uplifting the planet. And that's a pretty darn good purpose. So everything else is just gravy, is a bonus, is icing on the cake, is sprinkles on top of that sundae, the cherry on top. So don't put too much pressure on it, and know that at the right timing, if you need more to go on, it will be revealed, and no worries there. So just do what feels good, as I always say. Try not to stress everything else. Try not to sweat the small stuff, as they also say, and just go forward doing the best you can, knowing that there is a greater force out there that does love and nurture us. Even if you just need to lie down on the ground on the earth to remember that. If you close your eyes, lay down on the grass or the ground, and just have a thought, sending it into the earth, like, dear earth, mother, mother nature, mother spirit, earth spirit, whatever you want to say. Thank you for all you give. Thank you for your nurturing. You'll feel nurtured. So just remember that. And in that, you might be able to calm and relax into, okay, I feel good now. And then from there, go forward and your life purpose. If you're looking for something, defined in just 2 simple words like that, it'll come to you. Otherwise, be open and let life really surprise you. It doesn't mean it's going to be a perfect surprise. Things will be all roses. There'll be some hard times maybe to walk through. But it reminds me of a passage in the book, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn out of the 1920s. One of her students, she was taught metaphysics and spirituality. One of her students said, my gosh, I'm just trudging through this tunnel. It's so dark. It feels so, detached. And, how long is this going to last? When do I get to my good stuff? Like, knowing what my life purpose is what I'm just kind of inferring. But, they just said, my gosh, I'm just walking on this journey and it's so dark. When does this tunnel ever end? What am I supposed to do in this darkness? And then again, this is all loosely paraphrased, but she says, you get really good at seeing in the dark. And that's an incredible lesson right there. You hone and craft your ability to see in the dark and become really good at it, then you're going to own the best of everything, because when you're in times of light, that's easy. But it's in the darkness now that we've, acquired that skill then of seeing in the dark and seeing acutely and fine detail in the dark. So there's value and purpose in that as well. All right, I know it kind of jumped all over on that one. It may or may not all tie together, but I think, the point is, it goes back to in that tunnel, don't give up. You just keep putting one foot in front of the other, or for some people who like the analogy, keep on swimming, right? Keep swimming. And if you have to stop and take a break, and then keep on. Moving in, excuse me, time to move in a new direction. Maybe yes, maybe no. I think a lot of us want to move in new directions when we feel stuck. And sometimes it just doesn't seem to come. So that's overall, too, a reminder of patience and, look at things. And then also, look at the facts, but then also let them go. Because here they're all grounded, maybe trying to find factual, solutions or looking at things in a very 3D way. But then you have to look up here, and oftentimes what we're really looking for is the stuff we could never have guessed or never have seen coming, like this, arriving on the waves, How could you expect to see that ever? So that's what I'm getting there as well. And then just back to our runic cards, the energies here. There's ways to do, bring in the magic There's, the way just to surrender and just kind of look ahead, and it just arrives to you on a cloud or a wave. This one looks like he's trying real hard to bring something maybe darker in, totally dark vibe, like working and straining and like, expending a lot of energy to make it happen. Whereas this one is wielding all the power with this wink and a smile, so which way you want to go about life. You want to effort it to the wazoo, and create this fiery storm to the point where you don't even recognize yourself. Or you want to look in the mirror in all confidence and happiness and poise and grace and style and walk through stride through your day, just knowing you are the power, right? You don't have to bring it in. Don't need to bring it in and effort in from anywhere. And then we have this one, the epic fight of good and evil. Oh my gosh, I forget the wolf. Haiti? I forget what goes on with Ragnarok. Anyway, you might want to look into Norse mythology on that on your own. But yeah, we've got this epic struggle, right? And at a certain point, if you're equally matched, you got a stalemate, right? But it doesn't mean that, you should also just simply give up when something's worth fighting for, protecting. And that fighting for something also can take on many forms, actually efforting and defending something that's in your face, or, standing in your own power, holding that rod and just shining out the light, that's another way. And sometimes the more quiet and still we are, standing up in the face of adversity. Look at that, just owning that power, man. She is the rod. She don't need to hold that thing. Look at her. You get a look like that. It's like stand down, back off, standing in your truth. That's another way to stand up and fight, without a single blow. Okay? All right, I'm going to do the old extra intuitive, flip through the book and see if there's any little extra messages that want to come out. I usually flip with my left and point with my right, but I have the camera, so I got to do both with the left, and my eyes are closed right now. So I'm just going to go to wherever I'm led, and I'm kind of pulled over to this corner. Hopefully it makes sense. It may or may not, so just bear with me. All right, let's see. His own hands to use, not the hands of others to command. So let me go back a step. The one small garden of a free gardener was all his need and due, not a garden swollen to a realm, his own hands to use, not the hands of others to command. So this is about owning your own property, standing your own ground. I'm not standing your own ground, but having your own ground to stand on, rather, and to be able to till it and work it. Something about working the land with your own hands. This is just where I'm being led. Let's see where it goes. I personally, when I work the ground or garden or work in the yard, I do not like power tools. Like, of course, if you're cutting the grass, it makes sense depending on the kind of grass you have and how much it grows. I'm in subtropical climate, so it grows quite fast, to use a gas-powered, something with a good engine to cut the grass. However, when trimming and doing trimming plants, I prefer just hand tools. I do not like to use anything powered up, and I cannot stand leaf blowers. To me, that is just so purposeless. Get a broom out and sweep and push broom stuff. Again, there's just such an energetic exchange and connection when you use your own hands. Also, when you're, weeding, don't use these horrific chemicals and things that poison and kill not only the nature but people, because everything's connected. Don't use the poisons. Don't use these horrific poisons. I'm not going to name them by name. Just get in there and pull the weeds. When you actually pull them, there's an energetic pulse and connection that moves from the weed through your arm, through your hand, through your arm, through your entire body, and then grounds you back into the ground again. It's like a beautiful circle. Also, the weeds and plants, when you even just pinch them or tear a leaf, there's an actual electric charge. You can see it on certain instruments. It's a pulse. It's a flash of light. So there's something to all of this. We're intended to be gardening and using things with our hands, with our feet, to get that earthing, to get that connection to the earth, into nature. At the same time, it's a meditation. It's good to, either close your eyes or have your eyes open, and open-eyed meditation, and just feel it and say to the plants before you're even coming, thank you for blessing this earth and this ground. I'm going to need to take some of the weeds out. I got to do it. I'm humbly asking, not permission, but, it's something that needs to be done. I appreciate your being here. You have value. I honor you. And do that before you even take the weeds out, right? Things like that. Just showing respect, mutual respect, as you would like, for yourself as well. I know it sounds funny, but even cutting the grass, I tell the grass and the earth, I'm sorry, I've got to cut you. You know, it's like if you had hair that you love and you don't want to cut, right? You want to let it grow free. I just say, hey, it's something I just have to do to maintain. And there's a whole reason so we don't have rats and rodents and huge, grasses in the yard. So, but I honor you, I respect you, I thank you, and go proceed about the day that way. So that's all I'm getting from this with that one little line. For the gardener using his own hands, use that your own hands to tend to that garden, and don't leave it up to others, unless you have to. There's reasons, obviously, if you have certain physical conditions, you can't do it yourself, or it's too much property, whatever. But just keep that in mind. Okay. All right. Thanks, group 2. Now we'll move to group 3. Okay. Group 3. Here we go. Group 3, spirit animal against the tide. And let's see what you have today. So right off the bat, we've got the animal spirit cards. And you have unicorn, cosmic egg, and peacock. And actually, right away, what's jumping out to me with the cosmic egg is we had the runic tarot in group 2. You might want to check that out a bit, since I did get the runic deck for that. And in the Norse mythology, this reminds me of the serpent, the world serpent. And I hope I don't mess up the name. I think it's Jormungand. And that's the sea serpent that supposedly coils around the whole earth, but under the seas. Supposedly Thor is its nemesis, and they battle it out. I don't know the full story. That's something you might want to look into in Norse mythology, the world serpent. Also, unicorn and peacock, on either side. They're reminding me of something similar, because I always get with this peacock, and it's been popping up a lot lately. That is a spirit animal that can be considered connected with the divine insights. We've got the plumage at the top, always reminds me of the antenna up into the infinite, into the divine, coming back down through the bird and the structure of the bird, into the ground. We also have the eyes, in the plumage, which are like the eyes of the feathers when it fans out. And that's also supposed to be like the many eyes of wisdom, right? And then those, obviously, they've colored the same as the eye, the actual eye. So even though that's not the third eye, obviously, it just implies, seeing things. The vision can be 3D vision, but also that, 5D or spiritual vision, spiritual sight, right? Unicorn also, obviously, to me, that's an antenna, antenna upward. I know the unicorn symbolism, it's a mixed bag. Some see it as a positive symbol, some not. I see all living sentient things positive. This one has a positive energy behind it. Behind it looks like a moon reference, but to me, it kind of looks like that planet I keep seeing show up in my recent sky observation shows. I invite you to hop over to some of those if you haven't seen any. To me, it looks like this planet I keep catching now coming near the Earth's neighborhood, so to speak, in the sky. And it could be Wormwood Star. It could be any number of things. To me, I know just very loosely in the Bible, they talk about Wormwood Star coming in Book of Revelations. Now, they paint a gloom and doom picture. I do not. To me, Revelations, it's things are being revealed that have been long hidden, that should not have ever been hidden from us. It's the end of the era of great deception and the beginning of the new era of the Great Awakening, and things opening up to truth and love and being harmonious with nature. So to me, any planet coming, and it's prophesied in the Hopi prophecy and other prophecies, to me, it's a good thing. We're supposed to be seeing these things in the skies, and they represent good things. If you even look at the word wormwood, that's a herb, and it has many excellent healing properties. So again, watch what you read between the lines, and look at your source. Can you trust your source? So the Bible, for me personally, has about 10% truths. A lot of it has been re-scrambled and rewritten to serve certain powers. And, anybody that knows literature, it easily gets morphed and changed and misinterpreted over time. That's all I'm going to say. Nothing bad against it, but you just got to really use your feeling with it more than your eyes, your 3D eyes. Because, if you believe in a loving source, a loving God, a loving Jesus, there's a lot in the Bible that just kind of really counters that, in my opinion. So feel it out more than what you're seeing, okay? Then we have other animals. You've got the quail and gooseberry anticipation. We've got, looks like a number 9, and then you've got a number 10. So you got 9-10 sequence, which is nice. 9 is completion. 10 is also like an ending, but also the new beginning. And you've got chrysanthemum, which reminds me of the chrysanthemum crystal, which is really beautiful. You might want to check into that and look into the healing properties and qualities of the chrysanthemum crystal. And then we have the duck, which is, displaying its beautiful feathers. The purple violet is, kind of beckoning, getting in touch and maybe clearing and getting into balance with your crown chakra, maybe also a little bit of the throat chakra with the bluer part. And it's the duck and the chrysanthemum luck. And the duck is a symbol of luck in many cultures, and it's also obviously, look at its face, it's very at peace, very gentle, actually very beautiful energy coming off of this duck. And a great reminder, again, as I mentioned in group 2, to not sweat the small stuff. Just let any of the worries roll off of you like water off the duck's back, right? And focus on the luck part. May luck and fortune be at your side, at each side of you today. All right, then we have another spirit animal, is 15, number 6. Oh, and if I didn't mention it already, for any of the meanings of the numbers, do look at Australian blog site Joanne Sacred Scribes Angel Numbers. I highly recommend that because she gives all the positive aspects of all of the numbers. So this cow looks just glorious. The sunflower obviously is a reminder in tarot that we have the sun card. And, like they say, the happiest card in the deck. Very happy vibe here. The miracles are endless. What a beautiful message. They really are. Look at the bounty of flowers. Flowers just keep giving and giving, the plants that give flowers. And the arrangement, the little crown on this cow's head reminds me of the haku in Hawaiian culture, the flower crown. It's a little more than just a simple daisy chain. This cow is loaded with beautiful flowers. And we've got the feather too, just again, symbolizing some of the Native American meanings. And, maybe you want to look up some of that in relation to what the cow spirit animal, brings. So I'm just getting not too much off of this other than remember, miracles are endless, especially when we connect in, with ourselves and, connect upward into the infinite, as we all can do, with or without a horn or plumage. And the cosmic egg, again, it's kind of like I mentioned in the last show, we have the little proverb or idiom, whatever it is, which came first, the chicken or the egg in this case. We've got this egg here. We've got the world. It's representing the world. And then we've got this serpent, which is either undersea in some mythology, and on this one, it's like grabbing it from the outside. How do you feel about the serpent? Snake energy can be positive, can be negative. And in this case, what is it doing and why? Is it, kind of creating what it's already protected? We have that card in the second group, and I'm going to go ahead and show it. This might be applicable to you because look, we got the dragon, which can be considered, got some serpent energy in there as well. And that was, don't give up, protect that which you've created, have courage and believe in yourself. So this one looks like it's just in a state of protecting what it's created. Will it, let go? That's another question. And I've had the pleasure of observing some really gifted artists, and when they're creating on the canvas, painting, this reminds me with the paint. Some of the truly fantastic artists are ones that can have created a masterpiece to most of us who aren't maybe even just moderately artistic inclined to not at all. And we look and admire this artwork. One might say, why did you just overpaint the whole thing? They'll just take something they've already painted beautifully and say, you know what, no, that's not quite it for me. And then just repaint over it immediately. And you're like, hey, wait, don't you want to save that? Try it on a different new blank canvas. And no, to them, that is the blank canvas. And they are ready to just, if it's a artist, not all of them work this way, but it's part of the method, it's part of the process, the part of the working the masterpiece. And they're just ready just to paint right over, if that's not it, because they know that they can paint it again and again and again. Endless supply. They got the creativity. They are the creative source. They can produce these abundant flowers, right? And so it kind of doesn't matter to them. So that's just what's coming into mind for me there. All right, let's get to your bonus card. This came up recently. Beautiful card, and it's new partner. So a chance meeting is no mistake. It is divinely orchestrated as a catalyst to set the wheels in motion for the fruition of your prayers. Pay careful attention to new people we send into your life. You will recognize them by your sense of familiarity, comfort, and safety. So that's maybe a message for some of you out there, a new partner. And just remember, it could be, yes, a romantic partner, but it also could be a business partner, a new family member, somebody coming in, you know, somebody just meeting somebody that eventually becomes a family member, or just a friend, or just a mentor, somebody coming along your path at your time of need. And you know, it could even be, I've had things in the not necessarily as a partner. You know, for me, a partner can even just be an instantaneous connection. You pass somebody on the street, you look at each other, and you just feel it, you get it, like, hey, I know you, you know me on some level. I don't know where or when, but just in the kind of cosmic mystery